It's time for the social show with Viwe Kyolwana.
Social show? Social show.
Hello and welcome to the social show. My name is Virtual One, and for the next 30 minutes, we'll be talking all things CSI, CSR, and shared value. I'm super excited. Of course, it's a Monday. It's a beautiful Monday. I say beautiful because everywhere I go in the shopping malls nowadays, like the Christmas lights are out. And I love Christmas lights. I don't know about you, and it always makes me feel happy. So whenever I knock off during the day, I'm just super excited to see some Christmas lights. And so November's been really, really cheerful and amazing because it just reminds me that it is the months, or we're getting closer to the months of giving, which is Christmas, and that makes me happy. But more than that, it's Monday, and everything good happens on a Monday, and one of those things is that we update you on what you can look forward to in the CSI space for the rest of the week. So sit back and relax and find out what you can get up to and do. We're going to get straight into the news, and then we're going to do that after the break.
CSI update.
The government's hush-hush approval last year of a new coal mine within a critical biodiversity and water conservation area in Mpumalanga has been reversed by the North Gauteng High Court. In a judgment handed down to Pretoria on Thursday, the 8th of November, an application by a coalition of 8 environmental and social justice groups for the review and setting aside of government's decision to allow the Yezamein underground coal mine to be developed within the proclaimed Mabola protected environmental wetlands was upheld with punitive costs. The application was one of 5 legal challenges and a formal objection that the coalition is currently bringing against several government departments and authorities that collectively opened the way for the department of a large 15-year lifespan mine by Ather Africa Ventures, a local subsidiary of India-based transitional mining and minerals company, the Ather Group. Mabola is a protected environment proclaimed in terms of Section 48 of the National Environmental Management as a Protected Areas Act. Under the Protected Areas Act, which prohibits mining even where other statutory authorizations such as mining right and a water license are in place. However, this act also creates an exception if the minister is responsible for environment and for mining both grant written permission for commercial mining to take place within the protected environment. And this is what happened when the late Edna Molewa, the Environmental Affairs Minister, granted permission to Yezamein on the 20th of August 2016, and followed 3 months later by Mineral Resources Musebenzi Zwane. There were no public statements nor significantly any correspondence with any of the interested and affected parties informing them of this decision. In other news, Giant Films, in collaboration with an international team of creatives, recently completed an anti-poaching 90-second film for Over and Above Africa. The LA-based charity raises funds to support people and organizations in Africa actively preventing the extinction extinction in general, and supply drones to game reserves to help them win the war against poaching. The creative team is led by former Whedon and Kennedy, 180 Amsterdam and DDB veteran Andy Fackrell, and directed by Sam Coleman at Giant Films, who worked with Fackrell when hired by 180 Amsterdam to work on the Adidas original account shortly after exhibiting an Adidas street art show in Cape Town. Here Coleman has shared his involvement in the international campaign about what he loves the most, and will show us a full career circle ideology which shows him bringing ideas to life through his powerful medium, and this you can find on Biz Community. And lastly, in our news, a 20-year-old healthcare entrepreneur, Melissa Baim, who won the $25,000 grand prize at the 8th annual Anisha Prize Awards Gala. She is the founder of the INFIUSS, an online blood bank and digital supply chain platform that ensures patients in 23 hospitals in Cameroon have life-saving blood when and where they need it. The Anzisha Prize is delivered by the African Leadership Academy in partnership with MasterCard Foundation. And through the Anzisha Prize, the organizations and organizers seek to fundamentally and significantly increase the number of job generative entrepreneurs in Africa. They believe that a key to doing that is to test, implement, and then share models for identifying, training, and connecting high potential, very young entrepreneurs from 15 to 22 years old, so that more organizations have a better collective success in creating pipeline of entrepreneurs with the capabilities for scaling. Bime is the only second woman to win the grand prize since the best took it home in 2013. She was also selected among 20 finalists during a ceremony that was live streamed by over 3,000 viewers and created a social media buzz across the continent. Well, that concludes our news for today.
"400 kilometers off the eastern coast of Africa, Madagascar boasts unrivaled species and ecosystem diversity. Nearly 98% of the island's land mammals, 91% of its reptiles, and 80% of its flowering plants are found nowhere else on Earth. Scientists from Chicago's Field Museum, including MacArthur Fellow Steve Goodman, are studying and seeking to conserve biodiversity here. In Madagascar and 7 other areas of the tropics, the Foundation strives to strike a balance between conservation and the needs of rural communities in developing countries. A research initiative at Arizona State University is examining this question using case studies in Peru, Tanzania, and Vietnam. Other new projects seek to identify and mitigate the threat from global climate change on species in some of the most diverse ecosystems on the planet.
This is what you missed on brandlife.co.za.
My first question then is, where are these hubs of economic development? Which township do I find a hub of economic development? Why must, if the focus is really capacitating the disadvantaged, why must I climb onto 3-4 taxis to get to a certain area? A certain area has got about 6 to even 20 of these, right? Coming from Alexander or Tembisa. So you then find that there is a township economy, but the people that are living within this township economy, that are starting businesses in this township economy, are not full participants of this township economy.
For more, go to www.brandlife.co.za.
You're back, and if you missed the news, worry not, because the podcast will be available straight after the show. But anyway, on Mondays, I try to really update people about what's going on in the industry and what it is they can look forward to in the week, what it is they should look forward to, what it is they should be really trying to get involved in, or if not, just getting an idea of what it is that you can attend to further your knowledge and to find out, as I said, a little bit more about the CSI industry. And just from a social TV perspective, I think it's important that we tell you guys where we're going to be, where you can find us, and hopefully can arise some sort of anticipation if you are going to be at that event, or if you are if you want to bump into us at that event. So if you want to do a little bit of stalking, this is the show that you'd be listening to. So not to get too far into the month, but I'm just going to start off a little bit with the things happening this week. The first is we're going to be at the Lesedi Awards, the MMI Lesedi Awards, on the 14th of November. Now, they were launched in 2016, and the Lesedi Awards are aimed at recognizing and celebrating the volunteer work that MMI employees and business units do in their communities. It's an internal awards ceremony where they sort of recognize anybody in their staff who has done amazing work within volunteering. And I think it's a great way to push your employees and your staff to do some good, to just give them a night where they get recognized for the good that they do. I think everybody wants recognition, and I think it's a conversation I've had many a times on the show about, does recognition work in a space like CSI, where it's supposed to be about the good heart and giving and making sure that you're doing your best for the community? But I do find that in the spirit of GEM, one of my favorite apps and organizations, that people, when they do get recognized, even if it's for something small, they do really want to do it more and more and more. And it doesn't necessarily mean they're getting a car, or they're getting more likes on their Instagram pages, or they're trying to really, it's more like about the self. It's still a way in which they want to just show up for the world and show up for themselves and remind themselves what they've done. When people get a reminder of the kind of work they do, it makes them feel good. And what more do you want from CSI except to make people feel good? Those who are giving and those who are receiving, you know. So the MMI Foundation chairman Dan Moyane has said that although the primary role for the MMI Foundation is to ensure meaningful and enduring impact of their financial investments that they make into the communities, they also recognize that volunteering is a powerful force for change that fills a gap that pure funding inevitably leaves. Like, funding is amazing. Actually learned this with one of my good friends, Tlhokang Manchidi, who's the head of CSI in Investec, and he spoke a little bit about how important it is, not just to sort of how much the movement within CSI has moved from just these cash donated where it's one off and you don't really have anything, but it's so amazing when you see and feel the spirit of the people, you know, of the organization at the specific program that your company is looking to help. There's something really different from that human interaction that you get. So the MMI the city awards will be happening on the 14th of November. I think it's going to be in Menlyn in Pretoria, and we're going to be there. Again, it's an internal event, so I don't think you can just pitch up, but they're really an important way that I think MMI wants to engage with their employees. They want to work with individuals with a social awareness and consciousness. And I think it's important also because you find that a lot of these really big, gruesome stories come from these really average Joe kind of types that work in these big corporates, and you're like, okay, so how do you as an organization, as a company, as a whatever it is that wherever you work, I wonder how much of your interview or your HR understands the importance of locating and employing people who have some sort of social affiliation and social awareness, but more than that, who do dib and dabble within the whole company's CSI in whatever it is that they're doing for their department. And that's the question I have for today, is that how many companies are actually actively looking at how the person you're about to hire, you're choosing to hire, you headhunting, has been affiliated with some sort of social movement, you know, whether it be social justice or it be something that's completely into education or ECD centers. How do you guys sort of track that to just see their moral compass, or is it important? And also, it's important within the organization, when they are within the organization, for them to start working with you as working with the kind of CSI models that you have. I find that when I am around a group of corporates that are either my friends or people that I just know from social media, that they don't even know their companies have a CSI, side to them. They don't even know what the CSI leg of their companies that they work for day in and day out, 9 to 5 is. So I wonder what that looks like. So I think these are quite a good way to engage your employees and also find out who sort of shares the purpose of enhancing the wellness of the communities that that are really disadvantaged in South Africa at the moment. So the awards will go as Lesedi Individual Award, an individual whose involvement in the MMI volunteer initiatives best aligns with MMI's approach to volunteerism. There's also an Exceptional Volunteer Champion Award. There's a Business Fire Brand Award, International Award, Most Active on MMI for Good, which is the app. How many causes you volunteer outside of MMI. So there's quite a lot that you can do in MMI to be part of these awards, and I think it's amazing. I can't wait to be there. It's going to be on the 14th of November at Menlyn, the MMI Lesedi Awards. Also happening this week, we've got a great partnership with the City of Johannesburg, COJ, in partnership with the Global Citizen, and they're hosting Cleanup Day on the 17th of November 2018. Now that's a Saturday, so I'm sure you can sort of pop in. I think the more people there, the merrier. And their aim is to really improve the environment. This will be the last cleanup leading up to the Global Citizen Festival, where members of the community stand a chance to win tickets to the event. Now, since its launch on the 15th of September 2018, they've hosted about 2 cleanup days with the COJ, and at these events they've collected an estimated of over 1,467 amount of bags across 7 regions in Johannesburg, with the participation of about 2,210 amount people in communities, including government officials, celebrities, and the media. And they've also given away a total of 160 double tickets to participate on the ground at these events. Another great initiative. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the Global Citizen Initiative. I'm a big fan of us understanding global citizenry and understanding it from an African perspective. But just to push it a little bit away from that conversation, cleaning up will never hurt anybody, and you get to win tickets at the event. So I think it's important that if you can go, you do go, not only just to go and see Beyonce and Jay-Z on the 2nd of December, but also to clean up our environment. Also, again, an incentive-based community service, right? Incentive-based CSI idea or ideology, or CSR ideology, or shared value ideology. And I think, again, people do want to be incentivized. They do want to feel like if they're doing good, they're getting something back. And it's not necessarily a give or take. And if I give, I need to get. I just think people want to feel good and feel seen when they are doing good stuff. So that's the cleanup day on the 17th of November. I'm not sure how it goes. You can just find out a little bit more at Global Citizen in the city of Joburg and find out how you can be a part of that day, and maybe you can win yourself a few tickets and you can help the environment while you're doing it. I'm excited. I think I might be there, actually. Again, on the 17th, I think, of November, we have the MSA lead event, which is a leading entrepreneurship for African development and shaping youth for inclusive development. I had a really great time last year at the MSA lead event, where they really sort of look at social entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurs who have gone through a specific program at MSA at Monash, and they get to then win prizes and for really good ideas. And it's really a workshop for inspiring social entrepreneurs on seeding ideas and systems thinking. A panel discussion will be facilitated on the day on the role of the youth in reaching sustainable development goals, which I think is important, because I don't think a lot of youth know what sustainable development goals are, but a lot of them are one of the people who can we are the change makers, let's just be honest. And so things need to start at a grassroots level. And if you are a young person that really wants to get into the social space, social development space, social entrepreneurship space, and you want to be part of the conversations around Vision 2030 and of course sustainable development goals, you should really look at Monash. They have some great initiative in this one, alongside the International Youth Foundation and the Laureate International Universities, is one of those that I can vouch for. They're really doing amazing work. I had a few of the social innovators and winners last year come onto the show and tell me a little bit more about their initiatives, and I was wowed at these ideas. I was wowed that people so young could have such a zest for trying to change the communities and being change makers in the spaces that they live, and trying to make a little bit of money out of it. And I think that's a good thing. So we've got that. We also have coming up is Pageant with Purpose, which is the Gauteng exclusive pageant, Miss Gauteng exclusive pageant. And what I loved about this when I got the invite is that it really is they're using the platform in a very different way. It's very important issues that they're trying to showcase through this sort of pageant. And a lot of people would say, these pageants don't really get to the grassroots level of community work, because a big part of all pageants, from Miss SA to Miss Universe, is that the person who wins is very much involved in some sort of community project, upliftment project, CSI initiative, something along those lines. I remember last year, the last Miss South Africa, I think the one who won Miss Universe, was very much affiliated with one of the organizations I used to work with quite closely, which was Child Welfare South Africa. And so you see that a lot of these pageants do, so one of the things that you need to do is be part of some sort of community upliftment or CSI or NGO, to just show that you are an aware and a woke human being beyond being beautiful. And I guess this is what really caught my eye with the Miss Gauteng exclusive pageant, that they're using their platform to raise awareness on mental health issues, including social anxiety, social awkwardness, addictions, substance abuse, bipolar, schizophrenia, eating disorder, and the risk and influencing factors, self-harm behavior, depression, not dealing with childhood trauma, amongst other things. So the campaign aims to educate the public in order to reduce stigmas and discrimination of people who suffer mental health issues. Now, this pageant, which is called #Pageant with Purpose, now in its second year running, mentors the top 25 finalists selected from about, I think, 100 young ladies across the province to be psychologically and socially and economically empowered to really be beacons of hope for their local communities within these kinds of mental health issues that a lot of people find themselves in. And I think the Edwin Jordan, the co-MD of the pageant, says knowing what to say and what to do when somebody's asking for help is very important. It's never quite clear how we can speak about, the mental health, but it's very important that we try to find out. And that's what they're doing. They're tasked with researching the causes and the effects of particular mental health illnesses and following sort of an effective way in which you can communicate with people who feel like they might be in that space. Another huge issue that came out of this year, if anything, is that mental health issues should be on the table and should be part of the CSI discourse. A lot of people are dying and a lot of people are depressed in specific industries and big industries, and a lot of work can be done by our corporates to help them. And I think the pageant is one of the ways in which you can see that happening. I mean, the pageant space is very competitive, and women are always competing with each other for these sort of spaces. And I think in terms of female identity, and not even just female identity, just the imagery around it in the media and how it's portrayed, can be very, very distressing for people who don't feel like they fit, where when everywhere you go you feel like you don't fit. So I do think that they did something amazing. So what they did is they had a really emotive photo shoot, which we did sort of highlight on our platform. You can go to Social TV for that, and they have like some really amazing pictures that they showcased, and I think it's very important that you sort of see them, and they really just want to show you that you are not alone. We have to raise our voices, and those pictures really did show a lot of emotive work. So those are a few of the things that you can look forward to in the week. There'll be more. Definitely there will be more. I know there's a female entrepreneurs breakfast in Cape Town happening on the 17th of November. We've got the Ibamo Karaoke and Comedy fundraising event happening in Joburg on the 29th of November. But all these things I'll speak about as we go. We've got 2 more Mondays. We've got the short course in water analysis and monitoring happening in Pretoria. If you're in that space, please go. Water is an issue still in South Africa. We also have the African Regional Conference on Environment, which is happening in Cape Town on the 28th of November. Okay, I don't want to bombard you. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back after this.
My name is Senne. I'm a chemical engineer and I work as a process specialist at Presolid. As a manufacturing company, we are very concerned with ensuring responsible consumption and production. Therefore, we continuously invest in new technology that reduces our environmental impact and increases the energy efficiency of our production. Part of my job is to experiment with and measure the flow of the raw material. It helps us match the material and the product to minimize waste in the production.
So an ode of the cleanup that's happening on the 17th of November. Again, I'm letting you know so that maybe you can just pitch and do your best. Is my silent and kind of sad reminder of the Global Citizen Conference that's happening in the later part of this year. Next month, actually, Beyonce's going to be in South Africa. It's going to be crazy. I'm not ready, but you know what global citizenship is about. It's about making sure that we're all sort of coming together to do the best that we can do to be not only aware of what's going on in the globe, but also just being aware of what we can do. One of the biggest aspects that I was speaking to a few friends of mine this weekend about was how much of Africa we know as South Africans, and how much of the work that Global Citizen does in Africa that we know about beyond South Africa. And I thought maybe it'd be a great way for us as South Africans to really know a little bit more about the issues happening in our continent and how we can get involved through this Global Citizen app. And it really does. They really do show a few of the issues that I really do miss in South African media landscapes, where I don't really know what's going on all the time in our neighboring countries. So I really want to emphasize how important it is to get your app, how important it is for you to just be aware, and how important it is for us to really try and be global citizens in as much in the way that we can, in the way that is possible for us to be. So we're going to end off the show with the Global Citizen reminder of not only how you can get the tickets, but also just that it's coming up and what it's meant to do, what it's about, what is the core reasoning around it being held in South Africa for Mandela's centenary, which I think is fantastic. But more than that, the fact that it's about making sure that as South Africans and as Africans, we participate in global affairs and we feel a part of the globe in its entirety. And that's it from me on a Monday. It's an update show. I hope you learned a few things. I hope you're going to be on the lookout for a few of the stories. I just mentioned a little bit, and mention all of them, but we're going to be playing them. We're going to be there. We're going to be showcasing them in the next week and in the next weeks to come. That concludes our show. From me, I'll be back again, same time, same place, on the social show. Goodbye.
The Global Citizen Festival is happening in New York City, bringing together musicians, world leaders, and global citizens to create positive change and eradicate extreme poverty. You can get free tickets.
Live from 27 Boxes in the heart of Melville, this is brandlive.co.za.